Hi everyone and welcome. It's BT Lady Grey and we are starting a new expedition in the Pale Beyond. We're going to start on normal mode because I think that's fair. And sorry, let me just sort my windows. And let's go on an adventure. Oh, the air be's cold, of flake and white as a sailor begs their pledge that in the dark they'll brace themselves for horrors still ahead. Of homes they'll dream, of warmth long lost and chased to frost world's edge. A hunger draws the desperate here. Such lonely souls need lead. What will ye do when steel hearts break and courage does abscond? I'll lead these souls, so help the gods, out of the pale beyond. Let's begin our journey. Crewmate wanted. Able-bodied crew wanted for dangerous expedition. Months of darkness, low wages, slim chance of safe return. That sounds fantastic. You're alone in the office. The tea in your hand is long since gone cold. I'd rather coffee. Looking around the room, you make out a collection of military books, and on the desk is a ship in a bottle. It's insufferable. The constant chime begins to wear at the patience. I'll leave it alone. And keep waiting. You hear footsteps climbing the stairs that brought you here. Let's remain standing. The door behind you swings open. The captain bounds past you to the other side of the desk. Do you have all your teeth? Sorry. Answer the question, please. I'll open my mouth. You bare your teeth to the man. The captain says, good. Scurvy. Can never be too careful. The captain sits down. It's the little things you can lose people to. I don't want to be rude. Are you speaking from experience? How many people have died under your supervision? More than I'd care to admit. Shaw sounds like the kind of guy who, has that feel. Can you remember their faces? Every single one. Please take a seat. Thank you. The chair is uncomfortably large. The seat feels worn. I'm Captain Hunt. The pleasure's mine, Robin Shaw. He nods. On your desk, which ship is that? Ah, this? Detailed, isn't she? Incredibly. An old sailor's superstition. I hope you weren't waiting too long. I'm told it's worth the wait. Good. There's been a lot of candidates. Some good, some bad, an interesting mix. I'm sure you understand the need for discretion. I'll keep listening. Months of darkness, low wages, slim chance of safe return. That didn't deter you, did it? It's to be expected, surely. I thought it blunt, but it's proven remarkable at weeding out the weak and the pretend. I have a few questions first. He looks down at his list of questions. Were you born a landlubber or a sea dog? If I knew I'd tell you I'd been all over. But I'm here now. Ah, a mutt-wash, plenty of those joining, myself included. Military experience? What do you think? Colonial. Two tours in the Royal Admiralty. A mutt-wash from the Navy. I guess I'm not that special these days. Under what circumstances did you leave? Heh, in one piece. You'd be surprised how many can't even say that. Have you ever fired a weapon? Yes. Have you ever killed a man directly or otherwise? I don't know. Yes? I see. You're not married, are you? No, of course not. You better not have a death wish. One must believe they'll return to justify leaving in the first place. Any less and you're doing yourself a disservice. Let's let him continue. We're here to find the ship in that bottle. Oh. The Viscount. Heard of it? No, enlighten me. He clears his throat. 5 years ago, she set sail on a research expedition toward the Dead Peninsula. They were trying to find and study the absolute magnetic south. Viscount. It's a strange name for a ship. They can't all be named for dukes and princes. Viscount wasn't always hereditary, was an earned title once. Admirals certainly love their metaphors. Almost as much as their medals. No offense. Anyway, the point is she never came back. Her last known location was 200 miles south of land, presumed to be lost to the ice. 5 years is a bit late for a rescue operation. They're probably dead. Alive or not, their research is supposedly of extreme importance. All right, you have my attention. The captain smiles. Here's what we do know. Not one person or thing has been heard from the Viscount since it first left port. Until now? Until now. Someone was found who claims to have been on that ship. Where are they now? Dead. But their testimony seems to have outlived them. Those with more money than sense want that old ship. That's the job. If I don't pick the first mate, someone else will, and, well, my judge of character's gotten me this far. Who is financing all this? The usual. Film and lecture rights have been sold, of course. We're in the process of signing off a final benefactor for the expedition. They've even donated a ship. We'll be traveling on board the Temperance. She's a beauty, greenwood, generational. Not many like it left these days. The Viscount and the Temperance. They're sister ships, built together. Sent out into this world to die alone. You seem to love a metaphor yourself. I know that I do. Indeed. Perhaps that makes me a hypocrite, but I like to think one calls out for the other. The captain looks at the bottled ship. So what do you think? Sounds like you need all the help you can get. We will. The captain checks his watch. Anyway, I think I've heard enough. The captain stands up. We leave in a month. Welcome aboard, Shaw. Proverbially speaking. You're not what I expected. And what did you expect? We're more than our mistakes, Robin. Let people surprise you. I'll see you on the Temperance. I think it's a kind face, and I wonder who this lady is here on the side. The captain makes his way to the door, and you follow. You arrive at the docks a month into the day. Before you lies a ship. The letters on its side read Temperance. You walk the cobble to the boarding ramp. Beside is a sharply dressed man overseeing the loading of cargo. He turns to you with a stern expression. You can feel his eyes assessing you. A military gait, you must be Hunt's pick for first mate. I figured he'd keep it in the ranks, good man. He extends an arm. Richard Templeton, a pleasure. I'll shake his hands. You accept his offer of a handshake. It's a considered shake. I shall keep operating as the chief science officer on this expedition. I'm also the incumbent representative of our benefactor. Do, however, consider myself and my team at you and the captain's disposal. What did you specialize in? Applied botany. Mr. Templeton, I look forward to working together. I expect you to be up for the task. Some of the layabouts Hunt hired are questionable at best. No doubt I needn't inform you of your duties. You're second only to Captain Hunt himself, though I must warn you, you have quite the task ahead. The rabble I've spent the afternoon sorting are the same that you'll have to whip into shape. Punctuality, schedule, a strict adherence is what we need if this expedition is to succeed. You know, I'm thinking there's something about this guy where if we get lost on the ice, we're gonna eat him first. I expect you to be an organized sort. You would not have been assigned the role otherwise. I have more than enough experience with a crew of this nature. This is comforting to hear. It would seem, for the most of the crew, the captain favored personal history over expertise. It's good to know he found the capable sort for such a vital role. Let me know when you're ready to depart. The less valuable time we waste here, the better. Oh. The city. You'll be gone for quite a while. It'll be some time before you see the city again. A young man stands at the ramp, steeling himself for the journey ahead. Hesitantly, he begins to drag his feet up the ramp and onto the ship. Hunt's description of the Temperance was accurate, near identical to the Viscount, barring some modern additions. And on board we go. If you're just coming in, this is our first episode of The Pale Beyond. as we enjoy this experience together. I'm doing a whole series here in this. Let me see if I can turn that down just a bit. There we go. So our Week at a Time series of A Pale Beyond, it's a narrative survival game, and I've only seen the beginnings of it. So let's enjoy it together. It's been a month. Hunger draws the desperate here. Such lonely souls need lead. What will ye do when steel hearts break and courage does abscond? I'll lead these souls, so help the gods, out of the pale beyond. First mate's job, personal log. It's been 1 month since I signed on, and 1 week since we've set sail aboard the Temperance. I'm told the waters will get warmer as we pass the hemisphere before they turn colder. The Admiralty had nothing like this. She's magnificent, a technical marvel, elegant machinery expertly weaved through one of the fastest hardwood ships of its day, reborn for this mission. Breathing again with life, she's simply magnificent. And for its master, he's mostly kept to his quarters so far. I'm not sure what to make of our leader. I've heard the rumors. Drinking, desertion. There's probably a good reason he's dressed in antiques. Despite that, I find myself warming to the man. As for the rest of the crew, there are now 22 of us, including the captain. Our next port will be our last before we enter the ice to pick up the remaining 4 members of the crew, the scouting team. Hunt is also keen to work out a deal on a pack of sledding dogs. The crew are a strange lot, eclectic as the ship itself, and I can't help but wonder who's footing the bill for all this. Certainly not the captain. Such exquisite modifications to the ship mustn't have come cheap. I should investigate further. It's always nice to know who signs your checks. One of Hunt's sailors approaches. Captain wants you at the helm. I'll head there now. He leaves. The forecastle door appears locked. The door to Hunt's cabin is shut tight. The captain himself is busy at the helm. Let's go there. You ascend the stairs to the stern and find the old captain manning the helm of the ship. Ah, Robin, lovely day for it, isn't it? It is indeed. It is indeed, Captain. Indeed. It's days like these I make sure to do my share of the sailing. He winks. I'll let him continue. He thinks for a moment before stepping aside and stretching out a wrinkled hand. Did you ever take the helm in the Admiralty? Never felt right not to, for me. Here, why don't you have a try? I'll take the wheel. You grip the wheel of the ship and feel the weight of the waves in your arms. Oh, indeed. The memory in your muscles rear themselves as you begin to move in time with the ship and the wind. Easy. There, you have it. The captain pats you on the back. Fantastic. Now, try to get a sense of where we are. Get some perspective. Ah, zooming. Peaceful, isn't it? Panning and zooming. He takes the wheel back from you. I think I'll drink the morning in a little longer. Would you mind preparing my quarters for the day's work? There's much to do. Oh, I see now. The crow's nest currently stands unoccupied. The scouting team are expected to join at the next port. Ah, here we are. A classical painting depicting sailors doing battle with a kraken. An ode to an old folk story, known to all, Captain Seamus, or was it Hamish? A pristine furnished tub secured to the floor, a luxury to be had on the ice. On the desk you make out a variety of papers, notes, and maps, as well as a sealed letter with a stamp you don't recognize. The desk itself is suspended with ropes to keep it safely in place. We'll take our place here. You take a seat at the end of the room. The captain joins you. Now let's run through our provisions before taking requests. To start, there's 23 souls signed on to this expedition, ourselves included. That's 16 free to be assigned to tasks if they aren't already busy. The rest are deployed to their permanent stations. You're only able to deploy crew who've you discovered. They must be in good health and not otherwise deployed to another post. Okay, so I know myself and the captain and Joe. We'll be picking up the scouting crew at next port. The lot of us seem to be in good spirits. I assume this is our spirits. The expedition will end, tearing itself apart if you end the week with no decorum left. We've enough provisions for at least 6 months in case of emergency. If you can't afford the minimum food rations at the end of the week, crew will become malnourished. Unless cured, the malnourished status will develop into scurvy, a severe status effect that prevents crew from working, eventually killing them at the end of the week. Yikes. And more than enough fuel to see us there and back. Colder temperatures will increase the minimum fuel required at the end of the week. If you cannot afford that minimum fuel, crew will become freezing. Unless cured, the freezing status will develop into frostbite, a severe status effect that prevents crew from working, eventually killing them at the end of a week. The sledding dogs, well, they're still a matter of negotiation. Dogs will be needed to send sledding teams out to gather resources on the ice. Sending hunts out further requires a greater amount of dogs. They will rest and become available between weeks. Okay. Now, on to work. Hello. Corvid or Cordell? Cordell, have you agreed upon my conditions? To the point, huh? Shaw, this is Lady Cordell. Cordell here is to provide us with the kennel of hounds for the sleds, and our agreement was she would train them up until we part ways at the nearest island, but... You neglected to inform me that you were bringing my dogs through the Pale Passage. I had no intention of sending the pack to its death. You seem to have good faith in this expedition. It's one thing to ask for my whole kennel. It's another to drag them into the ice to chase a myth. Never before has a buyer been so dishonest. And never before has a seller made such strong demands. And what exactly are these demands? She demands we allow her to come along on the expedition as a member of the crew. None on this ship has the experience and familiarity with these dogs that I possess. If you're taking them to such a brutal location, they will need me to guide them if they have any chance of survival. The humans on board, too, of course. Of course. You can see my dilemma, Shaw. Bringing on another member of the crew is a risk, but our hands may be tied. Your thoughts? I don't see the harm in having an expert on the sled dogs. A good point, Shaw. He turns to her. The deal is already to your benefit. Do you have anyone on board with extensive training in the management and ruling of dogs? Your sleds are useless if you can't control the dogs efficiently enough to haul them. And I would like to ensure my dogs are treated properly. Welcome aboard, Cordell. Your knowledge should prove valuable. Invaluable. I'll have a room prepared for you below deck. And our max crew increased. No need, you'll find me in the forecastle with the dogs. And she leaves. I hope I'm not making a mistake, Shaw. Ah, we have dogs. Yay, dogs. Let's talk to Corvid. A sailor enters. We found a stowaway in the lower hold. Bring them in. Another sailor enters, leading a young man by their side. You know, you're not the first stowaway I've had. The captain studies them further. You know where we're headed, don't you? Runt. I do, sir. The ice. Did you know that before you climbed inside that crate? I did, sir. Ha! How old are you? You're hardly a useful pair of hands. Not true, I can pull my weight, sir. Do you know your jibum from your bowsprit? I do, I learned it all from my da. Your da? Smurf says he's Ward's son. Followed him on board back in the city. What should we do with him, Captain? Well, Shaw? Hunt eyes you up. You're first mate. What should we do with him? He's not staying on board. We don't need more mouths to feed. Aye, it's settled then. We'll drop the boy off at our next stop. Please, sir, I can help about the ship. It's too dangerous for someone your age on here. You're lucky we don't just tip you into the ocean. The two sailors drag the stowaway boy back below deck, taking him to see his father in the crew cabins. And what of the father? Should we drop him off with the boy? It's his son. That's for him to decide. Very well. Hopefully he doesn't care for the runt and I'm not down a sailor. Well, that matter's sorted. Let's finish those requests. Now that that's all settled, I have one more errand for you to run. Could you grab the Stoke brothers and order them to meet me up deck after dinner? Hefty lads, red hair, you couldn't mistake them for another. Who are they? You haven't met all the crew yet? The Stokes have been serving me for years. They'll be down on the middle deck. In the meantime, you should grab a copy of the crew manifest and get acquainted with more of the crew. And off we go. I think I like it so far. It's definitely a lot of reading. It's a lot of story. It's pretty though, and I'm a big fan of the animation style. Are we starting to get some snow on things? We are. On closer inspection, you make out the ship's photographer, Kasha Belford, balanced on the ship's mast with her camera lining up a photo. I'll wait for her to finish. Snapping a shot, she clambers down, only noticing you on her landing. Oh, Officer Shaw. It's about time I met the first officer of this ship. Kasha Belford. Nice to meet you, Kasha. I suppose there was some sort of rule against what I was doing up there. Deepest apologies, but sometimes there's a shot you just cannot pass up. An accomplished photographer, Kasha Belford won the Fentler Prize, the highest honor in journalism, for her work covering plague outbreaks and riots in the capital. It came as a surprise to many that such a reputable journalist would take such interest in this expedition. There was scarcely any chance of Hunt or the benefactor turning her away. You expected someone of her accolades to be older and more experienced. This is likely her first time on the sea like this. Her accomplishments surely outweigh her youth. Inexperience is a matter of interest, but her accolades speak for themselves. The cold came. Picture that as a header. I'll let her continue. For the piece on this voyage, I'm trying to come up with a snappy name. No one will read it if the title sounds like the work of an amateur. This isn't a game. An expedition like this isn't light business. Kasha nods eagerly, but you can tell she's not really listening. Oh, right, of course. It's thrilling, though, isn't it? I suppose someone of your experience finds it all boring at this point. A trip to the ice may seem dull compared to the Royal Admiralty. You know who I am? Of course. I thoroughly researched the crew of the Temperance. It may seem somewhat excessive, but I feel it's necessary for a proper chronicling. That and plenty of pictures. Don't worry, Shaw, you don't have a reputation that sets you apart from the rest. A celebrity like Kurt Darling's presence will dwarf any rumors that could form around you. That reminds me, he'll be joining us at the next port. I should get his picture at some point. Kasha holds up her camera with a sense of pride before holding it up to her face. Stand still, Shaw. How long do they take to develop? Only a day or two. I've made a makeshift darkroom in the holds. Speaking of photographs, she hands you an annotated document. Here it is, the crew manifest. Here we are. Lovely. I've met Joe. I've met Corvid. And I've met Smurf. Very nice. What have we? Scouts. Engineers. Science. Specialists. Rufus Hunt. Richard Templeton. Me. I don't have a face. Kasha. Uh-huh. Resource cards. Key items. Huh. Perfect. It's a work in progress. The scout team are to join us at the next port, and the captain's forbidden me from the boiler room. If you could ask the others to get their portraits taken, I'd be very grateful. Don't want to leave anyone out. Do something like that stunt on the mast again, and you'll be removed of your camera, understood? Kasha looks to you with uneasy eyes. Her grip on her device is tight and protective. Yes, officer. You don't want to lose that picture, though. It's very striking. Good. Understood, Officer Shaw. Won't get carried away again. She hurries past you. You wonder if she'll heed your warnings. Let's look around. Fussassas. You spot a large man with a useful gait, carrying a heavy crate over his shoulder with relative ease. Ah, you're Officer Shaw. He gives a bright, warming smile. 2 Johns. That's what they call me. I'm sure you'll get your nickname later. 2 Johns attempts to offer a handshake, but loses control of the crate. He struggles before firmly holding it in place with both hands. I feel like we're missing something. Here we go. No, that's because it's not there. Ah, maybe later. Work awaits. Ah, John added to the manifest. Puppies? The forecastle appears to be locked. You can hear the kennel master preparing the room inside. Downstairs. I forgot how to scroll already. One of the crew, a red-headed man with a thick beard, sits proud, playing on an ivory accordion. He spots you and ceases in his playing. Need something? Nice accordion. Do you mind if I see it? Accordion player takes a step back as you approach. You can see from there, no touching. Who are you? The man grunts. Grimly. I'm the ship's carpenter. I was just looking for the Stoke brothers. Emergency? Just a meeting with Hunt. You're speaking to one of them. Grimly Stoke. We'll head up after dinner. You can go now. The man gestures to the cook across the room before resuming his playing. I don't like him. Let's call for dinner. Crew return to their post. Hammocks are unfurled in preparation for the evening, and twilight falls. Over dinner you overhear the stowaway speaking with a one-armed man. You'll be dropped off at the next port, then. Duh! You can talk the captain into letting me stay, right? Can't talk Hunt into anything when his mind's made up. Besides, it's right. But I can help. You're lucky he didn't throw you overboard. When we make land, I'll make sure you catch a trip back home. I'll be back after this. Not soon enough. Doug Ward. Let's go back up. You spot one of Templeton's science team pacing around the mid-neck, searching through some luggage that's been pulled from a cabin. Let me look in the light. Where was it now? He notices you. Ah, Officer Shaw, correct? Dwight Glossley. Apologies. I seem to have misplaced something while settling in the cabin. A bottle of wine, actually. Can't be hard to miss. It will turn up eventually. I would hope so. My wife and I brought a bottle to celebrate with, to be saved for the journey back, of course. Well, if you find it, please let me know. Alright. I have a cabin. Let's go back up. You spot Templeton looking out into the sunset as you approach. He turns to you and nods. Officer Shaw. It'll be some time before we see a sunset such as this again. The light distribution towards the southern pole is quite the change. I noticed you weren't at dinner with the others. I prefer to eat in solitude. I have my own cabin and I make use of it. Templeton keeps his focus on the reflection of the setting sun over the stirring waters of the ocean. There's a great expedition upon us, officer. There's a great expectation upon us, officer. Are you feeling the pressure, Mr. Templeton? I can't afford to. We all have to keep our focus. I think that's a yes. Templeton looks down, catching his reflection in the ocean surface. He looks back up at the sunset. Quite the sight, but I wouldn't linger on it too long. We should retire for the evening. It's important for the first officer to be well rested. Well, all right. And that brings us to the end of our first week. And for the sake of the episodes, that's where we'll leave it for now. I will be back in a day or two with the next installment of our next episode, episode 2 in this series on the Pale Beyond. I'm really excited about it. So far, I like it. I'm looking forward to the point where the game picks up and we're doing things. But we've made pretty good progress. What do we got? We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 sailors doing sailor things. So we've got 5 more to discover. We don't have the scouts yet. We haven't met the engineers. We'll have to find the boiler room to do that. We've met a scientist. 2 more to go. And we've got 3 specialists left to go. Perfect. So, thank you. Thank you for watching and thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next piece of this series when we do week 2 of The Pale Beyond. Thank you so much, and bye!